Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is dustinkreis, and today I'm going to take you through 5 tales of shame and woe. This is my top 5 regrets of video games. And I've thought about doing this video for a while now, and it took watching Ball & Nick's rarest stuff in his collection video to really remind me to do this because man, just sort of big regrets here. And even as I'm sitting here looking at it, I'm already sort of rethinking my regrets a little bit. And it's kind of interesting to look at it and see how many of my video game regrets sort of revolve around one system. So when we get to that, it'll be a little bit of an interesting thing. But let's go ahead and start talking about it here. And number 5 with a bullet would be me trading in all of my old stuff. Not all of my old stuff, but everything that I traded in, I regret trading in now because, one, my collection would be a lot bigger if I hadn't have done that, and two, I've had to repurchase a lot of stuff because of my trading in. Luckily, when I got my GameCube, for some reason I traded in my N64 and all my games. Pretty friggin' stupid. Luckily, my wife had an N64, and a lot of the games that I had when I had my N64, so, rebuilding the collection wasn't a hard thing to do. The only thing that really stung was when I had to buy back Ogre Battle 64. That kind of stuff happens, but, remember, like, trading in my old brick Game Boy. I really kind of want that old pea green brick Game Boy back, just for nostalgia's sake, I traded it in to get a Game Boy Pocket Color, and then I traded that in to get a Game Boy Advance, and then I traded that Game Boy Advance in to get a Game Boy Advance SP, which I have sitting over on the shelf now. So I can trace that lineage back and figure out what happened to it. But man, I kind of wish I would have kept a hold of that. And not so much trading stuff in, but just trades in high school. Like, I remember I traded away my Super Mario RPG and my Secret of Mana and my Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past. And that really kind of stung for a while because I didn't have those games. And it's only recently that I've finally completely repurchased all 3 of them and got them back with Super Mario RPG. But yeah, my advice to you guys is don't trade your stuff in unless you're like really willing to part with it. Because eventually you'll get to a point where you're like, man, I kind of want that game back in my collection. Because when I was younger, I wasn't really a game collector. I was just more of a game player. But now that I'm getting into sort of the collecting aspect of it here these last 4 years, I've been wanting to get things back on my shelf. So that was number 5, trading stuff in and just making trades in general. Big regrets there. Number 4 video game regret. I am a big Final Fantasy fan. I've loved the series for a long time. I think the series has gone a little bit wayward, but for the most part, still, most of the series is still top-notch. Number 4 gaming regret is I have never completed Final Fantasy VII. And people's brains are probably exploding right now. I got close to the end. I got to the final cave, but I did not have the Knights of the Round materia, so I restarted the game in order to get it. And, well, I've restarted this game, let's see, since 2001. I've probably restarted this game 4 or 5 times, and still, I don't know what it is. I just can't see it through. Maybe it's because I've already seen Advent Children, and I already know what happens in the end, and I don't really feel like a big desire to do it. But eventually, I'm going to have to throw this thing in and beat it, or I'm going to have to turn in my RPG game card. I'm just going to say, you know what? Turns out I don't really like RPGs, because I can't beat Final Fantasy VII. A lot of people consider this to be one of the pillars of the RPG genre. I kind of waffled on that a little bit. I think 6 is better. I think 6 is more indicative of what Final Fantasy is. But Final Fantasy 7 is still an amazing game, and I don't know why I haven't beat it. I really don't know why. It's, except that, other things come out, and it keeps pushing it back and back and back, and eventually I'm going to throw this in and just hunker down and beat the damn thing, because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of that. I have a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet that I keep my collection in, and one of the things that I keep track of is if I've finished a game or not, and I'm getting so sick of seeing the no next to this game that it's driving me nuts. So that's number 4. Never been able to beat Final Fantasy VII. Number 3 also goes with the PlayStation 1, and my big regret is, I remember back when our game store in my town used to be a Babbage's, and then it went from being in one part of the mall to the cafe court, and it went from being Babbage's to GameStop. Was that what it was, or was it EB Games first? I can't remember. It might have been EB Games first. But I remember very, very clearly walking into that after I got my PlayStation 2 and seeing complete new copies of these games right here, boxed, everything, complete, for like $40. Never bought them. Number 3 with a bullet was passing up on Lunar back in the day. If you've watched my channel, especially like the last video here, you know that I love Lunar. I finally got to play them like 3 years ago, and man, it is one of the pillars of the RPG genre. And just to think that back in the day, I could have went in there and paid $80 for the both of them complete. It really chaps my ass. I could have had those games and loved them for a lot longer than I did. But, back then I was not as an open-minded of a gamer as I am now, and I only wanted like Dragon Warrior and Final Fantasy and things like that, and I didn't trust RPGs from other companies. I don't know what was wrong with me back then, but I really regret not getting those, because the copies I have, by Lunar 1, it came with everything but the book. So, or not the book. It came with everything but the box. So I was okay with that. When I bought my copy of Lunar 2, it just came like this. And I went onto eBay and I purchased the manual separate, I purchased the map separate, and I purchased the CD soundtrack separate. And now I have a pretty complete collection. I don't have the outer box, of course. I don't have the Okami box. But I have what I want from the set, and I'm okay with it. But just thinking that I could have had those complete back in the day, it really, really bugs me that I didn't buy those back then. But, what are you going to do? Number 2, my number 2 big gaming regret was I was a Nintendo kid through and through, and when it came to blows between the two systems, I sided with the N64. I did not pick up a Sony PlayStation 1. I thought, back in the day when you read Nintendo Power and stuff, you kind of believe the hype that magazine was spewing out, because back then Nintendo Power was of course owned by Nintendo, and it's basically just a big propaganda machine. But man, I was really believing that the N64 was going to bring the new revolution, and there was pictures of a Dragon Warrior on the N64, and there was pictures of Final Fantasy VII on the N64. And I was like, oh man, I can't wait to play those. And then as things trudged on and things started jumping ship to the PlayStation, I really started to feel a bit of regret at not being able to jump to the Sony PlayStation. Now, you have to put yourself in the mindset of back in the day, because back in the day, I didn't have a job to buy these things. I relied on my parents, either my parents buying stuff for me, or my measly lawn mowing money that I would get. So buying another console after I got an N64 would have been like just a huge, huge ordeal. And I stuck to it, man. I stuck to the N64 and I defended it. You know, people would say, well, you don't have Final Fantasy, you don't have this, you don't have this. And I'm like, well, yeah, well, I have Mario and I got Zelda. You know, what more do you need? And I really found out what I was missing out when I finally got my PlayStation 2. That was the first non-Nintendo console I bought, was the PlayStation 2. And I went back, and I didn't play a lot of PlayStation 2 games when I first got it. I got it at launch, and there wasn't a lot of PlayStation 2 games to play, but I didn't care, because I was going back, man, and I was playing the old PlayStation 1 games that I missed. And I was really getting to see, you know, what I missed in not owning a PlayStation 1 back in the day, because I would have just been in heaven with that system. And yeah, so that's my number 2 regret, is not owning one of these ugly ass consoles back in the day. But I have one now, and I have my PlayStation 2 that's still running from back when I was a kid. So hooray, hurrah! Problem solved. But I'm playing catch up, man. A lot of people have played these great PS1 RPGs, and I've been meaning to get to more of them, man. I really enjoy the PlayStation 1, but where do you find the time to do stuff? Okay, so that was number 2. Let's go ahead and do number 1 here. And number 1 is, it's a thought that keeps me awake at night sometimes. It feels like someone sucker punched me in the stomach when I think about it at certain times. And when I was a kid, I was one of those kids that kept the game boxes. And, you know, I didn't keep the Nintendo ones except for a couple. I kept all my Super Nintendo boxes, kept all my N64 boxes, had the boxes for the consoles, the accessories. I had it all, including a box for this game right here, Earthbound. Super Nintendo. Now, I still have the strategy guide, but I had the box for this, I had the box for Secret of Mana, I had the box for Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, basically every Super Nintendo game that I had as a kid. When I found out how much that stupid box for Earthbound is worth, it blew my mind. And what's even worse is that when I was a teenager and I was moving, I decided to throw all of those boxes out. What am I going to need a game box for? Whoosh. The teenage years are the years when you are absolutely the dumbest you will ever fucking be. You are more intelligent as a child than you are as a teenager, because hormones come in, they kick in, and you just lose your friggin' mind. And to think back at all of the complete games I would have had for these old systems. I had the box for Dragon Warrior 4 for the NES, I had the box for Legend of Zelda on the NES. To think back at all those boxes and all those complete games I would have had, it keeps me awake at night sometimes, and it really puts a pit in my stomach, because, I mean, I'm not going to sell them. It's not like a money thing. But, you know, I got this collector's idea in my head now, and it's like, damn, how much more awesome would my collection, you know, would be if I had those friggin' boxes. So, number 1 with the bullet, guys, throwing out the old game boxes. I mean, when I see people holding up their complete copies of Earthbound, I just want to punch through the screen and deck them right in the face, and then punch myself in the face. It really bothers me that I no longer have the box for Earthbound, but I'm not going to go spend the money to get it. It's just one of those things, you know, as you grow older, you learn to live with regret, and it's just one of those things that I've learned to live with, and I've accepted it because, you know, I was just a stupid teenager, and I didn't know I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, it goes back, I mean, if I were to talk about all the stuff I had as a kid that I got rid of, like, I had tons of the real Ghostbusters figures, and the firehouse, the cars, everything, man. And that stuff got yard saled. I had Silverhawks. I had the Silverhawks ship. Yard saled. I had He-Man figures out the wazoo. Yard saled. I mean, it's so crazy what you will get rid of when you're a dumb kid for like 20 bucks. You're like, ooh, I got 20 bucks now. You know, just fucking terrible. Terrible. But, anyway, guys, that's my top 5 video game regrets. Gaming regrets. So I would love to hear, what you guys, what have you done in your, gaming years that you really regret? I mean, between those boxes and just when I think about certain games that I've traded in or traded to other people, it really just, why did I do that? Why did I do that? I mean, not owning a PlayStation, I can justify that to myself. Not picking up the Lunar games, I probably didn't have the money at the time to pick them up. I can't justify not beating Final Fantasy VII. That should have happened years ago. But getting rid of those game boxes and trading stuff in, man, that's just stupidity right there. So that's it for me for this video. I would love to hear some of your guys' gaming regrets. I would love to start seeing some video responses. I think that I really like doing video responses to people and watching other people's video responses, and I just think, you know, I'd really like to see some video responses get started up. But what else? What else is going on? Oh! Big news! Within a week, this will be done. So there will be a final video where I discuss the story, which is batshit crazy and awesome. So look for that. It's probably sometime next weekend, because I want to do some grinding and I want to finish up some quests and just kind of mess around. I'm not ready to leave the Xenoblade world yet, and when I do, I'm going to be very sad, because this is probably one of the best games. I'm going to go ahead and say it. This is my favorite RPG this generation. Just an amazing game. And so that'll probably be coming out sometime. I would say probably, if it's not up by Sunday, it'll definitely be up sometime the following week. Because I have the next weekend off, and I'll be able to just punch it in its face. What else? Pickups video. I know I said that I was not going to be doing any picking up this month. I was going to try to keep it on the DL this month. That did not happen. I picked up a series of games that a lot of people said I need to have in my collection, so I finally pulled the trigger on that. I picked up a couple of PS1 hidden gems, and I've already messaged a couple people about it. Pete Dorr did a video on one of them, but there's another one that I can't remember if someone told me about it or if I just found it on my own. I want to say someone told me about it on the channel, but I can't find the comment or the message. But it's going to be a really interesting game once I finally get into it. It's supposed to be really good, and it's kind of off the radar. So, and then the other thing is I pulled the trigger on something that I've been wanting to get for a while now, and it's a big purchase. So these purchases here are done. This month is done. As soon as all the stuff comes in, I'll probably make the video, because I don't want to pick up anything else this month, because while I didn't spend as much as I did last month or previous months, the thing I pulled the trigger on was a huge purchase, and I just did it like 10 minutes ago, because I decided I saw a price I was willing to live with, and I just did it. And so we'll see how that goes. I can afford it, but I probably shouldn't have bought it, but that's okay. But anyway, guys, that's stuff that's coming up. look for the Xenoblade Final Thoughts video, and I can finally stop talking about Xenoblade. And we get on to other games, which right up there next on the queue is Tales of Grace's F. So as soon as I get done with Xenoblade, that's going in, and I'm finally going to beat that game. And Ballin' Nick and Mr. RPG Crazy and Aerodynamish, you can all shove it because I'll finally play it, and you guys can stop hoarding it over me. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see if Xenoblade maintains its top spot after Graces, because everyone just keeps going on and on about Graces. So, and then of course in June we'll have the last story, which I probably won't play right as soon as it comes out because I'll be playing something else. But that's it. That's it. That's it. So. Hopefully this, I don't know, I didn't feel like I had very much energy in this video, so hopefully it's not too boring for you guys. But when you start talking about regrets and things like that, you just kind of depress yourself when you realize, especially those video games, that's like the hardest thing to talk to you guys about is those video game boxes, because it's just like, hey guys, I had this great thing back in the day, and I threw it all away. Literally threw it all away. So, but anyway. Alright, so please guys, make some video responses. I'd love to see it. I'd love to, if you can't make video responses, if you don't do videos on YouTube, just write me your top 5 video game regrets. I want to be the only, I don't want to be the only person on here that's like crying into their moxie that I've made mistakes in the past in video gaming. So, alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you next time.